Welcome back to the Arise interview. I'm Charles Anyekulu. Now let's turn to Ethiopia, where the country's leader has defended the government's military operation in the northern region of Tigray and the deepening conflict there. Abiy Ahmed dismissed warnings that it could lead to civil war. He said concerns that Ethiopia was descending into chaos were unfounded and a result of insufficient understanding of the situation, as he put it. The Prime Minister's statements come a day after the leader of the Tigrayan region called on the African Union to intervene to prevent Ethiopia from spiraling into civil war. Well, for more on the situation in the Ethiopian part of the Horn of Africa, I'm joined now by the African Affairs analyst and publisher of Africa Briefing, John Offei. Ansah. Good to see you, John. Thanks for joining us. What do we know about the current situation on the ground there in northern Ethiopia in the Tigray region? Because the UN said a couple of days ago that the fighting was getting worse and was now taking place in 8 different parts of the Tigray region.
Yes, the Ethiopian government has made about 10 bombing raids, so far since last Wednesday. But the number of casualties, we're not sure, but I'm not sure they will reach more than 100 or even up to 100. So that is the situation on the ground now.
In Ethiopia, in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, I mean, it sounds rather like there's a witch hunt going on. I mean, for example, we understand that members of the city administration who come from Tigray have been arrested and accused of plotting to attack Addis Ababa itself. I mean, it sounds like the situation is extremely grave, not just in the north, but across Ethiopia.
Yes, it appears so. But we shouldn't forget that before Abiy came into office in 2018, the Tigrayans, dominated political and the economic business spheres. And since he came to power, he's been trying to always undertaking some political and economic reforms, right? And the Tigrayans believe that their dominance, figure dominance over the politics and the economic spheres, is being diluted. So there's some sort of rivalry or bad feeling, going on behalf on the part of the Tigrayans. So this, and it's again, it's created some suspicions within the government segment, within the government. Hence, this arrest in the city council in Addis Ababa.
Yeah, that's very interesting, that analysis, because I mean, a lot of people would agree with you that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is attempting to sort of remake the political model that was set up after the Tigrayan regime that took over the country in 1991, and the way that it organized the structure. But then a lot of other people would say that Prime Minister Meles Zenawi, who was leading at the time, had a vision of a country where each ethnic group had a very strong identity and they were given a lot of regional power. And for a country like Ethiopia, that's good.
Yes, I mean, look, Ethiopia is a federal country, with most of the states having some degree of autonomy. But that's not to say that Abiy is totally wrong, because there were, and you and I know that there were a lot of human rights abuses, a lot of repression before Abiy took over. And part of his reforms, was to release some political prisoners, politicians, journalists, activists, and so on and so forth. Okay, and also seek some redress. I mean, try to prosecute some of those civilly responsible for those human rights abuses. And like I said earlier on, the Tigrayans dominated political and economic spheres. So that makes the Tigrayans feel as if they are being singularly targeted. That's the situation we have in Ethiopia.
Well, I mean, it doesn't make it easier for them, does it, when Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed tries to use violence to try and solve the problem? I mean, there's a lot of worry, isn't there, that this approach is just going to end up very badly, because, I mean, the Tigrayans have got lots of military hardware and have years of military experience after fighting a bush war that they eventually won in 1991. So truly battle-hardened people, and you're not going to walk all over them.
Yes, because look, I remember last year, early this year, there were elections were scheduled to be held in Ethiopia itself, in the whole of Ethiopia, and some of the states as well. And Abiy said, look, in view of the coronavirus pandemic, all elections must be put on hold, or even postponed till the pandemic was over. But Tigray actually went ahead and held their state elections, defying, Prime Minister Abiy's directives. And the immediate cause, the last straw, was that Abiy accused Tigray of attacking some government forces, along the Tigrayan border. So that is what actually ignited this current situation.
I mean, with Ethiopia apparently lurching towards falling apart, I mean, that has grave implications for the region, doesn't it? Because, I mean, for several decades, Ethiopia has been seen as the bedrock of stability in the Horn of Africa, which is a very unstable region. And if Ethiopia collapses, then it's going to be catastrophic for the whole region, because northern Ethiopia relies on imports of food. And if that area is blockaded, as seems likely by the federal government, it's going to cause hunger and food insecurity.
Yeah, it is. But Abiy, has taken pains to assure that this conflict is not going to escalate into a full-blown civil war. On the other hand, the Tigrayan leader has also made some overtures that he is prepared to negotiate, go to a negotiating table with Abiy. It's even appealed to the AU offices to that effect. So I don't see it. I don't see it escalating, because before it escalates into that full-blown civil war, I believe the AU and other bodies will step in to de-escalate the situation. But because it's again, I believe that Abiy is just saber-rattling, showing his strength. That look, he is in charge. He leads the whole of Ethiopia, so he has to do something to assert his authority. But I believe, in the final analysis, the AU will step in, to bring the two sides to the negotiating table. So I don't foresee a full-blown civil war in the country, and I don't foresee it spilling over into the neighboring countries.
Right, okay, because I mean, I was just going to make the point that Abiy Ahmed, as you pointed out at the outset, has been trying a different sort of governance, and it was initially being liberal, but then, that liberalism was like a lid was taken off a boiling cauldron, and the country has just exploded into multiple ethnic conflicts. I mean, it's not just the Tigrayan region, it's also the Oromo region and all the rest of it. I mean, so what's the hope now for Ethiopia?
Well, I think that so, because I believe in Abiy's abilities, to smoke, the peace pipe, and don't forget, Abiy himself is from the Oromo tribe, which happens to be the largest, tribe in Ethiopia. Okay, but what he's trying to do is to set an example that to the other regions, that no region, can sort of usurp, the central power within Ethiopia itself, being its Abiy's powers. So I believe eventually, sense will prevail, and escalation to a full-blown civil war.
Right.
will be averted.
Okay, John, thank you very much indeed. John Offei Ansah is the African Affairs Analyst and publisher of Africa Briefing. That's it for this edition of the Arise interview. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, the UK and the United States, bye-bye and thank you for watching.